Are we? We are live, aren't we? Happy Friday, MisippBROs listeners. I am getting used to the size of my own head all by itself on YouTube. And to give the listeners a second to file in, and I just hit mute on the YouTube so I don't hear myself any further. But welcome, one and all, some of you, any of you. Hello, is this thing on? Friday, December 10th, so my calendar tells me. And make sure to check it before I throw my producer Bruce under the bus with minutes to spare before we go live. Appreciate you, Bruce, each and every day. More so on a day like today, where you got me, Brother Spark, Lil Bro, Sippo, or today, Sippo Solo. As you can tell, we are down one MisippBRO, and don't worry, all is well. He is just tending to his lovely wife, Mariella. Mariella, feel better? Get well? A tiny procedure won't set you back. You will come back stronger. Más fuerte, as they might say in Chile. So, happy Friday, one and all. We are happy to have you. I am happy to have you. I say we on behalf of the MisippBROs, including our producer, Bruce. I never know whether to start a show off like this with something inspiring or something more somber, because it's like, do you start the show off with something somber? Do you end it with something somber? So since we're on the topic, let's just say, rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas, gone far too soon. The 33-year-old former wide receiver, all-pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, number 88 in your programs. It's unforeseen what exactly went on, why he was found dead at his home in Georgia yesterday. But the thing I'm picking up the most through social media, through his former teammates, is as marvelous of an athlete as he was, people are more wanting to remember the person he was. I don't know if you can remember him as well as I can, but he did have a room lighting smile. He really did. And that is what his teammates are all saying. He was a better human than he was an athlete, which is common to say about someone once they pass, but this seems like a genuine thing. And Demaryius Thomas, we wish you well. When I think about Demaryius Thomas, it doesn't take me long to think of the signature play that gave Tim Tebow his one and only playoff win. It was against the Steelers in overtime in Denver. 23-23 was the score when Tim Tebow, with the best throw of his life, hit Demaryius Thomas in stride. Demaryius Thomas fended Ryan Clark off all the way to the end zone. I'm sure you can remember the play. If not, look it up. I remember it so well because I was at a Steelers bar in San Francisco. I want to say it was Giordano Brothers. It was a noted local Steelers bar 10 years ago. Lord knows if they're still open because of everything that's gone on in the last year and a half. But my point is, I was surrounded by terrible towels. I was surrounded by Steelers fans. And you've never heard the air let out of a room so much as when Demaryius Thomas went streaking into that end zone. Because do remember, this was a Steelers bar. So they weren't happy to see number 88 that day. But I was. It provided a signature moment in his career, Tim Tebow's career, Denver Broncos history. And for me, it provided a very memorable event. Todd, if you're listening, Arizona Todd, Desert Todd, Slob Father, if you're listening, I know you remember you were there. I got pictures to prove it. So rest in peace, Demaryius Thomas. So trippy when somebody passes away at such a young age. I'm not here to speculate, but just want to say, even younger than a lot of us, younger than myself. So happy trails, I guess. Rest in peace. And we'll always remember you for your athletic achievements. Your teammates will remember you for far more than that. So thank you, Demaryius Thomas. We got the somber note out of the way. I got my Spider-Man shirt on. I don't know if anybody out there is as excited as me. Listeners, if you're just joining, please chime in the chat. On the ball, off the ball. Give me something. It's just Sippo solo today. Little bro operating without big bro Chad. See if I can take all the gifts that he's taught me and provide a solo show. Back to Spider-Man. hits theaters next week. No Way Home. I'm excited. I don't know what direction the movie's going to go, but I just wanted to throw it out to the chat if anybody's there. Who's your favorite Spider-Man in the last 15, 20 years? Is it Tobey Maguire? Is it Andrew Garfield? Or is it the current Spider-Man, Tom Holland? And without any recency bias, I want to say my favorite is Tom Holland. I think he fits the teenage innocence, all of that, while providing a believable in the suit. This matters. You're Spider-Man, you got to make it in the suit. You got to make it believable. He certainly does. If anybody has anything to say about the Spider-Man coming out, thank you, Bruce. Tom Holland all day. You know, Tobey Maguire did have his day in the sun, and maybe it was because that was the Spider-Man that was presented to our generation first in terms of live-action movies. Pretty hard movie to make live-action if you think about it, Spider-Man. The suit and everything, whether it's CGI or enhanced, what have you, it's still spandex at the start. So I just want to say, Tobey Maguire bulked up well for that role. You know what? Maybe a little Tobey Maguire appreciation, because he bulked up for that role, then he slimmed down when he was in the film Seabiscuit, I want to say, and he played a jockey, probably about 120 pounds soaking wet. So I do have some Tobey Maguire appreciation. I believe he's the one responsible for the Spider-Man kiss. We all dream of that, right? We all fantasize about hanging upside down, making out with a hot redheaded chick, right? Maybe that's just me, but that's okay. So much appreciation, Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield never really sunk in for me for the Spider-Man role. Maybe it was too in and out. Maybe it just wasn't memorable films as memorable as the others. But Tom Holland, the current owner of that role, I believe it's a role he should keep as long as he can. Although he recently did say he doesn't want to continue the role past the age of 30. I'm unaware of how old he is. I'm unaware of how old he is, but the longer he can fit into that Tony Stark provided suit, the better. And that's another question, fans. Do we like Spider-Man with tech? Some people like the old classic Spider-Man. And then, oh, we got Brother Chad chiming in. Thank you, Chooch. Don't you dare jump in the video feed. You're going to shake up everything we got going here. But I like that you got some Spider-Man appreciation here. Or wait, Seabiscuit? Oh, man. Brother Chad says, Seabiscuit is better than Spider-Man. Change his mind. Well, one might save your life, and one's already dead. We can start there. Seabiscuit, rest in peace. That's our second rest in peace on the show already. Let's get away from that. But I don't think a horse can stop a train in full speed. I don't think a Seabiscuit, the horse. You know what's funny? My mom is a horse lover, so I do have some Seabiscuit fanfare in the family. But Chad, we got a Spider-Man shirt on. You're not here. It's Sippo solo time. Alex agrees? Is that what those arrows mean? My goodness. You know, the chat I thought was going to help me so far. It's just really thrown me off. So anyway, if you're going to go see the Spider-Man film this weekend, let me know. I will be there hopefully Saturday. Big Bruce, hope you're with me. I know you'll be down. So moving on, there was a world where I wouldn't be at MisippBRO Drive live today. Matter of fact, we should have been at MisippBRO Drive yesterday. However, you know, your boy got a COVID booster, was feeling a little effects of that. Life happens, full speed, busy slate. Couldn't do the show yesterday, so we promised you a fun Friday today. Spider biscuit. Okay, I'm going to ignore the chat for a second. There's a world where I would be in Philadelphia right now. There's a world where I would have brought you the show with my brother Chad yesterday. It was on me that it didn't happen yesterday. Today, Chad is tending to his lovely wife, Mariella, as he should be, being the husband that he is, the husband I know he is. But there's a world where I would be in Philadelphia right now. I am not. I had to cancel/postpone my plans to be in Philadelphia. There was a lot of excitement about me being at the 76ers game. Big Bro Chad even mentioned he would sponsor the trip and help pay for the very expensive tickets. The Warriors, again, the best show in town. Well, long story short, I was set to see 4 friends while I was back there, and one of them and their entire family came down with COVID. So figured it was best served to push the trip out and get 100% of the trip rather than 75% of it, if you know what I mean. It's been 5 years since I was in Westchester, Pennsylvania, my former hometown. So why go all that distance just to be unfulfilled? So Doyle family, feel better, heal up, And while we're still on the 76ers game, that is the next game on the docket for the Warriors. I was hopeful that Steph Curry would knock down 16 three-pointers like the rest of us the last game he played against Portland. That was not the case. I believe he's 8 three-pointers away, or 9, 10, 8, 9, or 10. Let's go with 10. 3-pointers away from breaking the all-time record held by Ray Allen. I have a feeling in my bones it's going to happen in Philadelphia. Multiple reasons. Number one, I won't be there. Number two, who will be there? Seth Curry. Brother Seth. These are the type of moments you can't even make up in movies. People wouldn't believe it. But wouldn't it be the best for Steph Curry to assume his place in history as the greatest three-point shooter, numerically and otherwise, with brother Seth on the court? I imagine both Curry parents will be there, whether they're together or not. It just seems like the perfect moment. But if it doesn't happen, the next game on the docket for the Golden State Warriors is at Indiana. Who do we think of when we think of the Indiana Pacers, fans? Pretty sure we all land on number 31, Reggie Miller. Somebody Steph idolized, looking up to, growing up. Somebody Steph watched in person plenty of times while traveling with his father, Dell, in the NBA in the 90s. It's not Reggie Miller that holds the record, though. He just happened to be the most prolific three-point shooter before Ray Allen. So it was Ray Allen who broke Reggie Miller's record. I'll take either script, but I promise you this. The record's going down in the next 2 games. Whether at Philadelphia with brother Seth on the court, that's my preferred option, or at Indiana, where Reggie Miller, I'm sure, will be in attendance, or at least will be watching. It's going to be a moment we have all expected since we saw Steph Curry launch into the stratosphere. The guy has revolutionized the game. We talk about him a lot, but deservedly so. Just off the top of my head, I recall Steph Curry. He was a bit injured at the beginning of his career. It's actually one of the most fortuitous things to ever happen for this Warriors run. Steph Curry came at a discount after all those initial hobbled years when he signed what became the biggest bargain in sports, a 4-year, $44 million extension. For perspective, when he signed that in 2012, 13, whatever it is, not important. For perspective, he makes $44 million a year now. The Warriors had a 4-year run where he got a unanimous MVP at the discount price of $11 million a year. Many things had to happen for Steph Curry to ascend to the heights he is. And even though he could shoot the ball right out of the gate as a rookie, he was only making about 2.5 three-pointers a game at that time. He's now up to 5.5 three-pointers a game. He has revolutionized shot making, shot taking, all of it in between, and he does it with a flair that's just contagious. He promotes a brand of basketball that teammates love to partake in. Just look at Andrew Wiggins. Compare Minnesota Timberwolves, Andrew Wiggins, to the man you see now. And I don't just love him because he wears number 22. I love him because he's realizing his potential. And that potential was never to be the best player on a bad team, but to be a functioning great player on a great team. He's much better served as a number 3 option, in my opinion, on any team, a good team, rather than the hope of a poor franchise like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who we talk about quite a bit. I'm going to pause for a second as I get used to this solo broadcast because the chat is going off. Let's see. Mariella is doing well. Good to hear. No COVID, but Curry will dominate as well. And you saved us some serious money. Thank you, big bro. I'm sure that money will be reinvested into the show. Maybe some new background graphics for me. Maybe a haircut. Maybe a makeup artist. Something like that. But we will look to do that. Big Bruce, enough Curry. JTA is the future. You know what? JTA, Juan, Toscano, Anderson. I had to do some research on this fella. I don't know everything, and I never claimed I do. I just have a lot of fancy numbers sometimes where people are like, where'd you get that? Anyhow, Juan Toscano Anderson was undrafted. I knew that much. I didn't realize he played many years at Marquette. Marquette's a noted basketball team in the NCAA ranks. I think Dwayne Wade comes to mind when I think of Marquette. He put them on the map for sure. Juan Toscano Anderson went undrafted, though, so he went to Mexico, where one of his parents is from, at least. Juan Toscano Anderson, a very common of the Mexican culture for a hyphenated name. Take the name of both parents. Heck, even the town you're from. Juan Toscano Anderson de Jalisco. No, I made that part up. He went to Mexico, balled out in a Mexican league, even became an MVP. He said he was inspired at that time. This is only a few years ago, by the Warriors run, by the Warriors championship teams of 2015, 2017, 2018. Yes, I skipped 2016. That was the year Draymond kicked LeBron in the nuts. Let's not talk about it. But Juan Toscano Anderson was inspired by his hometown team, the Oakland native kid. He's one of those many Oakland boys that grew up to become a professional athlete. We've talked about him before, whether it's Marcus Peters, Marshawn Lynch, Damian Lillard. The list goes on. Oakland is a proud city when it comes to its native boys. Juan Toscano Anderson came back home, got a 10-day contract with the Warriors, and it seems like he's going to be around for a lot longer. He's ensured his piece as part of this, maybe, championship team. Keep it coming, chat. I appreciate it. Without you, Big Bruce, everybody else, I wouldn't have gotten to talk about Juan Toscano Anderson, who, interestingly enough, just has the name Toscano on the back of his jersey. I don't know if it's an aesthetic thing. Maybe it shouldn't be sprawling over his numbers. Number 95 looks interesting enough, but interesting to me that he ditched the Anderson portion of his name, just sticking with Toscano on the back of that 95. So I could be in Philadelphia. I'm not. Steph Curry could break the three-point record in Philly. He might. I know all of us will be watching. It's a primetime game, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, followed by that Indiana game 2 days later. So as we proceed, last night, brought to us on national television, what people were calling the "We Couldn't Beat the Detroit Lions Bowl," because it brought about two teams in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers, who played the Lions to a tie, and the Minnesota Vikings, fresh off of a final second loss to those Detroit Lions last week. Any Vikings fans on the line? Shay, where you at? Show me all the butter, Viking. They have endured one of the weirdest seasons you'll ever see. I don't know whether to call the Minnesota Vikings the best bad team in the league or the worst good team. Facts are, they have endured 6 games where their loss happened on the final possession, if not the final play, including that Detroit Lions game where Jared Goff hit something St. Brown. I don't know. Tell me what you know about Lions wide receivers. Thank you, Siri. Jared Goff hit St. Brown on the final play of the game. Amen, St. Brown. Anyways, I got to stop doing that. Yes, the Minnesota Vikings, you think they're good until they choke at the last minute. They are torture for their fans. And I happen to know a few Vikings fans. Matter of fact, I met one in Arizona just last week. Shout out, Ashley. Nice meeting you at the Suns game. Nice lipstick. Anyways, in this game, the Vikings were up 29-0. And I got a glimpse of it while I was at my local sports bar. And 29-0 was the score. I put it out of sight, out of mind. Would you know, by the next time I came up to the bar to get a drink, it was 29-21. They were threatening to do it again. And Kirk Cousins on cue threw an interception. Everyone was aghast. Was this really about to happen? Well, it might have happened. We will talk about Ashley off air. Thank you, Bruce. The chat is keeping me going. The Steelers were driving with seconds remaining. I want to say 35, 40 seconds left. Chase Claypool, as talented as he is, got a first down catch, secured the catch, and then proceeded to be all about himself and gesture up the field instead of running the ball back to the ref. Some say it cost the Steelers 5 seconds on the play clock. Some say it cost them 10. Either way, it's inexcusable. It's just the most, really? Seriously. Because when you think of the all-time greats, Jerry Rice, Larry Fitzgerald, Barry Sanders, what did they do? They gave the ball right to the ref. They rarely had a show me moment, if ever. I'm pretty sure I'm hitting the nail on the head with these three. And I want to say Larry Fitzgerald is one of my favorite legends of all time. And yes, he's a legend for multiple reasons. Larry Fitz played the game the right way. He had cool dreadlocks flowing out the back of his helmet. He's one of the first receivers I remember wearing number 11. After he got drafted out of Pittsburgh, the NFL just made the rule update that receivers could wear digits between 10 and 19 at the time. He really burns in my mind. He also played for one franchise. He's an Arizona Cardinal icon. People in that community would tell you themselves, he's the man, and he's everything he's built up to be. Why am I on a Larry Fitzgerald tangent right now? Well, he is a legend. Chase Claypool did the opposite of what Larry would have done yesterday. And Larry Fitzgerald, how about this stat? He has more tackles, meaning his quarterback threw an interception and he heroically made a pick six saving tackle or just stopped anything from happening. He has more tackles on his career than he does drops. Talk about a football player. For real. Larry Fitzgerald to me is just a bigger bodied Jerry Rice. I said it. I said it in a text earlier today. I'm saying it live on air. I got all the respect for Jerry Rice, but you tell me if I'm wrong. Larry Fitzgerald, bigger bodied Jerry Rice. We'll see what Big Brother Chad thinks about that as I look at the chat. Oh, goodness. Cousins is Garoppolo, is Fitzmagic, is Carr, is Mediocre City. I'm trying to, okay, yeah, they're all in the same bracket. I agree with you, Chad. They're kind of just guys. I picked up the term JAG when talking about average football players. JAG, J-A-G, just a guy. So I agree with you, Chad, big bro. Bruce agrees as well. And we're still talking about, actually. Oh, yes. Ashley's a lovely gal, Vikings fan from the Pacific Northwest. Wore a dark-colored lipstick before potentially laying one on me, but that's okay. I'd rather not talk about myself right now. As we proceed, Vikings nearly blew that 29-0 lead. They did not. They held on. They're 6-7, and in the very mediocre waters of the NFC, remember, the AFC conference has been much better this year. That leaves them very much in play. And a reminder to you 49er fans, very much in play. The Niners, the Vikings, the Washington football team, yes, I said it again, they're all in contention for a playoff spot, especially if they win out. They're pretty much in. So hang on to that hope, Purple People Eaters. Hang on to that hope, Gold Rush. Hang on to that hope, whatever you call yourself next, Washington football team. On that note, do we have any ideas of what the Washington football team name should become? Have you seen anything floating out there that you're like, that would be cool? For me, it's just really one. I've seen the Washington Red Wolves. I don't believe there's wolves in the state capital, in the nation's capital, excuse me. But it would allow them to probably pick up a pretty cool logo in a league that doesn't have any wolves. Actually, a league that doesn't really have any dogs, right? Lots of birds, lots of cats. I don't believe the NFL has any dogs in it. Even if the Cleveland Browns in their orange helmet want to identify as a brown or a dog pound, I really don't know. Poor Cleveland. They had not had an identity for so long. What else do we got coming from the chat? Fitzgerald couldn't hold Rice's jock. Yes, a little bit of old school enthusiasm from Chad. I'll never not say, that's a double negative for those of you keeping track at home. I will never not say that Jerry Rice isn't the best. I won't. But Larry is a legend. That's all I'm trying to say here. He plays the right way, and a way that Chase Claypool could certainly learn something about. And on that note, what is with the Pittsburgh Steelers and drafting the biggest divas of wide receivers? This might have just been a moment in Chase Claypool's career, but it's kind of a microcosm of what he might be. Antonio Brown, hello. There's no bigger diva out there. Plexico Burris, remember him, people? He shot himself. I don't know if that makes you a diva, but very interesting characters drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers over the years at wide receiver. Maybe they missed themselves some Hines Ward. I miss myself some Hines Ward. We got any Hines Ward lovers out there? The man was a quarterback in college, one of the better blocking receivers that you'll ever see. Oh, hey, how about another quarterback, wide receiver, gadget player from the Steelers? Antoine Randall L, anybody? Cordell Stewart? I think I might become a Pittsburgh Steelers fan after the Dolphins make the playoffs. Don't forget, they're on a 5-game winning streak. Proud Fins fan since 2019, friends. Moving on. I don't have too much more to fill up the show. I'm absolutely loving the chat. Thank you, guys. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you. I do have this, though. Fellow podcaster, Pat McAfee, signed a mega, this is monstrous, people, $120 million deal with FanDuel. I guess they're going to sponsor his show. Everything will be brought to you by FanDuel, yada, 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 exposure, all that stuff. I get it. $30 million a year for his podcast. I don't believe that goes directly in his pocket. I'm sure it's spread out amongst all the people who participate in the show, produce it, all that good stuff. This is a guy who walked away from the NFL while still very capable of punting at an elite level. Yes, you can punt at an elite level, people. He walked away from, $1 million, $2 million a year. And I won't say he went to bet on himself, but he went to go do what he really loved: content creating, covering other sports, alternative entertainment. Matter of fact, he is a current WWE broadcaster on SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken. The man has carved his own niche into social media, into entertainment and sports. And he's landed now on the richest deal ever handed out for a podcast, I'm pretty sure. And as we strive to become something like that ourselves, just remember the man in front of you right now, earning not $30 million a year, but maybe one day we will. And that's a shout out to you, big bro. We can get there. Maybe one day we'll join Pat McAfee. Do I look a little bit like Pat McAfee? Nah, I don't look a little bit like Pat McAfee. Anyways, talking to myself, filling the air. It's kind of a broadcasting tactic, but I won't bore you anymore. Just want to say, shout out Pat McAfee, $30 million a year. We're going to enjoy the content you produce for the next few years. Stay at it and keep wearing those tank tops. Bruce, is that you? Do I hear you in my ears? Bruce, we are going to continue to sponsor you with the occasional dinner. Hopefully that bowling ball is working out, and we'll get you more swag down the road. The first T-shirt that gets printed, it's going to be for you, buddy. I promise. And yeah, once I get paid, you get paid. We all get paid. But we appreciate your labor. Can you tell me, did that come through on the feed, or is it just me? Oh, nice. Everybody say hello to Big Bruce. Yeah, you got anything you wanted to comment on from the first part of the show? Wow, that's a good nugget. Nugget. Now, what was his name again? Bob Meanery. All right. Well, I'm hearing from the listeners. You might not be coming through there. Apologies if that was the case. We'll work on that. This is all part of a test, all part of our plan. Yes, what Bruce was telling me, this is very reminiscent of Bob Meanery and his ascent from living in his car to basically being the founder of the Buffalo Wild Wings chain. Also reminds me of the Harry Potter author. She was living in her car at one point, and now she's clearly not, I would assume, unless she likes that sort of thing. It's these sort of humble beginnings that really create character, that give people roots, and they proceed on to other parts of their life with that humbleness in mind. I'm reminded of, I'm a noted wrestling fan and big time follower of AEW. And one of their biggest, brightest stars, Darby Allin, like a lot of independent wrestlers do, he was living out of his car. He was making ends meet. He was going show to show, life on the road. That was life for him then. Well, now he's a mega star in AEW, paid accordingly, and he'll probably make more money even moving forward. To this day, speaking of his humble roots, he will sleep in his car the night before a big TV match, pay-per-view or otherwise, just to remind himself of where he came from. So it's a reminder, folks, keep your roots, stay humble, remember where you came from, remember who made you. So back to you, Bruce, and I'm not expecting you to come through on the audio, but back to you. We'll always remember our humble roots here on MisippBROs, and you're a bigger part of it as anybody. So thank you very much. Brings me to my next point as I spill out some wisdom, or what I hope is wisdom. One of my favorite guys to talk about, Chad, if you're listening, it's our father, Popster. Why am I about to bring up Dad? Well, could be a litany of reasons. I like sharing his wisdoms that he's passed on to us, for better or for worse. I like sharing his wisdoms with people, whether I meet him that day or somebody I've known for a long time. Our father is as full of character as you'll ever meet. Hopefully that shines through the both of us. And we've learned a lot of good lessons from him. We've learned a lot of reasons. Chad says, oh no. Yeah, put your seatbelt on. Brace for impact, folks. Bob Misippo being talked about on the podcast. Our father has been as much an example of what to do in life as what not to do. And we take that with grace. We take that with great appreciation because you can learn a lesson a lot of ways. He's imparted a lot of wisdom on us. Some of it makes a lot of sense. Some of it doesn't. And it's fun to figure out where it all plays. My dad always told us, our dad, Chad, always told us you can only make a first impression once. That's why it was so important for myself to get on air today. Chad would have, joined us yesterday. He couldn't today, but it was very important for us to get on air because we promised we'd be here on a Friday after punting yesterday's show. So you can only make a first impression once. This might not be our first time with you, but in case it is, we bring it to you live, however we can, whenever we can, preferably on Mondays and Thursdays. But Dad always said, you can only make a first impression once. Keep that in mind the next time you meet somebody new in your life, or apply for a job, or shake someone's hand. It really, really is a thing. So good wisdom, Dad. Our father also told us something like this. Chad, let me know if you heard this one. He was speaking about the company you keep. Some people will say you become the person you hang out with the most, or the 5 people you surround yourself, that's what you become, right? You want to be rich, go hang out with rich people. You want to be an athlete, go hang out with athletes. Those are simple, stupid, easy examples. Our father would say, son, if you hang out at the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. Yeah, he's right. Hang out with heroin dealers, you probably do some heroin. That's the extreme example. But thank you, Dad, for that nugget. I pass it on whenever I can. Whenever it comes up, I love to say that. If you hang out at the barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. It's true. And then one last bit that comes to mind. I'll never forget when I got my first job bartending at the old Elephant Bar. 2008 was the year, I want to say, if it matters, in case you're keeping a chronological timeline of my life. You're not, or you are. I had been serving as a cocktail server, basically working the bar on the outer ring until I got promoted to bartender. And our dad's been known to throw back a few drinks. Our dad's been known to throw back a few drinks. So he was enthused to hear I got the bartending job. And he said to me, son, that's great you got a bartending job. Because if you're behind the bar making drinks, you can't be in front of the bar drinking drinks. It only took me 2 shifts to tell my dad that's not how it works. Good thought, but that's not how it works. So cheers to you, Dad. I don't have a Coors Light to salute you, but if I did, I would. It's also 12:35 local time. I've gone on longer than I thought I might, and that's thanks to you, listeners. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for letting us bring it to you live. Sippo solo here, ready to sign out, but with a reminder, Steph Curry watch in full effect. The 3-point record is going down this weekend or the following game. We will be here live Monday, hopefully to discuss it. It's a moment we all knew was coming for years now. It's kind of amazing it's here already. And Steph Curry will spend the rest of his career breaking his own record, game after game after game after game. Enjoy greatness when it's in front of you, people. Sometimes it doesn't last as long as you might want it to. So one last look to the chat. Chad, he better have said the same thing to you. Hell, you might have been the one to say it to me. So MisippBROs, Popster, all the MisippBROs on Earth. There's 3 of us. Don't drop a bomb if we're in the same place. We would be extinct. We just want to say thanks for tuning in. We will be back Monday, 12 noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, and I promise we'll be talking about Steph Curry. We'll see you then.